Welcome to the Boise State Esports Arena. Tonight you join us for a Call of Duty match. Boise State's Call of Duty team is going up against Keyano to decide who will move on in this tournament. It's a very high-stakes match. We'll discuss the specifics of it in just a few seconds. But first, a little showcase of the players getting warmed up on stage. And over here on the other side of the room, we've got the desk where I, your host, Jacob Palmer, am sitting along with Greg Smith, my co-host, to call all of the action for you here tonight. Now, Greg, explain the stakes of this particular match and the opponent that we're up against.
Right. Well, they're pretty good. They're international, though. They're some of our neighbors to the north from Alberta, Canada, and they are good at what they do. They are undefeated so far in the season, and it's been a long season. I mean, we're into the part where things are really starting to matter, right? The further you get into the season, it seems the chips in the pile start to stack a little bit higher, and it's the point where either we take it home or we go home. So it's getting down to the wire tonight.
And I understand, Keyano is undefeated.
True.
So this is going to be probably one of the biggest challenges that the Broncos ever face in their Call of Duty season. But we'll see if they can rise to the task. We have got a best of 5 all lined up, and the modes are pretty set. We just go through the the 3 competitive modes in COD Modern Warfare 3, and then repeat them as needed until we find a winner.
Sure enough. So we're going to begin with a nice little hard point, and then S&D, or search and destroy, moving on to control, and then wrapping back around if we need to, because it is a best of 5. So if there's an ace shutdown for those first 3 rounds, then that's about it for the round. Hopefully, if that does happen, it's the Broncos are going to want to take it in their favor, though the Huskies would love to just go home early and continue their win streak for the season.
Well, whether it be hard point, search and destroy, or control, you can always use Doc's keys to the game, and in Call of Duty, those keys will be to believe, achieve, and repeat. Take out your opponents one by one, use your call-outs, and know when to take it slow. It's all brought to you by Drop-In Gaming, the premier online platform for gamers who seek competition. Play your favorite games to win cash and prizes through free and paid entry matches and tournaments. Whether you are new to the scene or a seasoned veteran, Drop-In Gaming has the right games and competition for you. I was talking to the team just a little bit beforehand. They had the inclination that Skid Row might be the first one that is picked, but everything is up in the air until the final decision.
That's true.
So we are learning, since this is a live match, we're learning about what stages come up at exactly as soon as you do, watching at home. So we'll be waiting to get the official word on that. And are there any stages that you are looking forward to? I mean, I always like a good match on High Rise. I just kind of like the atmosphere of that stage. We've seen a lot of great search and destroy matches on there. High Rise tends to be a favorite of mine.
Yeah, I can definitely go with High Rise, breaking that window at the start of every round and getting into a nice verticality of it. And there really is a lot of verticality. We saw some crazy camping points last time right around Helicopter and down in those lower pits, the Red Tank, Red AC, Jenny, a little bit of a maze going on. So it has this fun arena-style feeling as either the two ends get close to where like the action happens in the middle. And I thought that was it's fun. So I could definitely look forward to that. But if the boys want to play on Skid Row, you know, obviously as one of the 2 teams competing tonight, they've got some decent voting power, and it's important that they play where they're going to be the most comfortable.
Well, we always make a joke about the notoriously weak windows, but one key thing about those windows is that each team from both of their spawns has 3 windows, one to the left, one to the mid, and one to the right. So those windows often end up becoming call-outs. You'll usually say our left window or their left window if they want to try to push up. Also, we haven't seen it come, but there are 2 tunnels that go deep into the spawn territory for each of the players' offices. Down, you can access them from kind of the bottom red area, and it's a long way around. It's a long hike to get around there, hence why we really haven't seen it,
right?
Because you have to go so far out of your way, but that's always a possibility. One thing we have seen, though, is kind of using that ledge right up near outskirts, you know, toward the side where Blue and Heli is, that narrow ledge that you go around. We've seen quite a few interesting flanks on that.
Yeah, that single HVAC pipe, despite being close to the edges of the map, are much further from the spawns than the big red tunnel that goes underneath the spawns. So unless we saw some kind of win con shift where maybe we saw the bomb be dropped really close to the TRCT side, side, and then you know, everybody kind of shifts around and wants to be playing off of that point, then the center of the map is no longer the center of the stage, and we could see that shift to be in those tunnels, and you know, moving more towards that long hike all the way around. But you're right, Outskirts was a fun place that we got to see a lot of jumping off points.
And if there's one other map that I think we have seen a lot this season, we've seen a good amount of Invasion be brought out. Both, I think we've mainly seen that in Hardpoint, because there are a bunch of different Hardpoints. We've also seen it in Control as well. I remember seeing Invasion Control, and that mainly has I think of the north of that map, if you're looking from our perspective what we normally see. The top, when you're talking about Broken and Loft especially is such a great spot if your team can get to it fast, because you have this long sight line down open. I mean, you can see all the way down toward Bathrooms, but then you can also take the look down B Street entirely, which goes toward B site. So it's kind of the best of both worlds, and those who are able to get that vantage point are able to really kind of control where the other team can move and where they can't move.
Yeah, and you talk about Control. Invasion for me reminds me of the old Wild West shootout shows, where people are high atop the buildings that are nice and square and cut out and in front of these big open streets, and they're kind of these beacons. And Mannequin and Red are a lot like that around Bathrooms, and you can climb up around Bathrooms a little bit, and there's that car out front, but for the most part it's pretty barren, it's pretty flat, it's pretty open, and there are these big vantage points that can see out over. And you don't have a lot of mobility once you're up there, but they're strong positions to begin in.
And we are going to be heading on down to the first stage. We will see what we have lined up. It does look like this is Skid Row we're bringing into the mix.
Skid Row with a little bit of a hard point. On the side of Boise State, we've got Avo, Magic, Neve, and Penji like we did last time. A couple of them are going down fast as the KDAs are coming out. Boise State to find nobody so far. The Huskies, several of them finding their one. A couple of shots fired. This Avo comes back into the game, but Nevo goes out for a second time.
Keyano having some good control over the hard point. Boise State has only managed to take one off of the Huskies. That hard point will remain for just north of about 20 seconds before we move to the next one.
And they are just sucking all the points right off of it. Boise State have found one so far, but the Huskies are doing well with a full 30.
Neeb also trying to kind of pre-position himself near P2, which will be the next hard point unlocking. He did manage to take out 2, so this is some good positioning by the Broncos. They'll be able to start running up the clock and the score to tie this up for them.
Hopefully so. This one's a little bit more cornered. Maybe they can get some more of that team play feel out of it. Right now they've got 2 in the field. One goes down, leaving player number 8, Magic, to kind of source the situation himself. Hopefully they can come up with a nice flank situation before Neve goes down.
Boise State kind of gets a flank. I mean, Huskies originally were the ones going through tunnels, but then Boise State just rounded the corner and came through tunnels themselves, got them both in the back. And this is a long time for the hard point to be held. We're just 15 left from this being tied. We got a player up on P2, a gunfight, 2 of them trying to flank Neeb, and they'll take him out. Get the hard point for the Huskies.
Yeah, the long flank through tunnel worked even 2 times, but it's just going to go down. The Huskies aren't going to make the same mistake 3 times. And they hold on to P2 for the rest of the 13 seconds. It doesn't look like the Broncos even want to fight for it. They're just going to try to source a little bit more KDA out here in the open area. Oh, and he gets a melee. Penji survives, only barely. Just going to wait for that health to come on back.
Down on to P3 we go. And already Keyano is finding their way there. Boise State trying to make their way through dump are going to be found out around the corner. And
nice.
Man, Penji is just
strong.
Penji brutal. This clears out the point. It's being contested currently.
It is, which means not a lot of points being awarded.
Oh, I was nervous about that flank through back alley. Boise State traded 1 for 1, but Keyano is winning the firefights overall.
Yeah, they really are, and I think that's the hinging point here. We're seeing a nice flush 0 streak across for Boise State, and it's preventing them to get to that 3rd point. They'll have to monopolize point 4 the entire clock to even get close to bringing it back together. I mean, we saw that split on point 2, where Boise State took maybe half the points out of it. But it is looking tough now, still contested. As Magic.
A game of check-in between the 2.
Yeah, a lot of eye contact.
Pick by Neeb onto Cruz. Keyano has placed themselves on the hard point. Moving slowly around the corner. Does not want to get spotted out.
No, avoiding a touchy utility. Making the way on up to point 4. Barber. It's in the Huskies' hands. And the Broncos are just slipping by, down by 100 points so far. They've got to make a serious change here.
And none of the Broncos have a positive KD ratio. The worst that the Huskies have is trading even with Kurz, but when that's your worst, you're doing great as a team. Penji has positioned himself up on P2. He was able to pick up 1, but then got found out himself. P5 will be the next point. You can see that's where Neeb has already stationed himself up. Magic just a little bit farther into the corner. Going to try to pre-position themselves to try to get the score just a little bit more even.
Exelios isn't top fragging, but he's perfect. He has not dropped a single death this round. Definitely one to watch out for.
Oh, no. As soon as you say
Nice.
that, there he goes.
The caster curse, you're welcome.
Oh, man, Boise State, they thought that high ground on crates would help them, but
Nope.
Jed is able to flush him out. He's going to lie prone now on P5. Can Boise State retake? Avo peeks around the corner, tries to find Cruz with a headshot, lands it, but he has so much damage that a cross angle will be found against him. Boise State trying to trade back and forth with Keyano. They've made their way onto the point and aren't going to hold it for more than 2 seconds as Brody lands one.
So fast. The hard point is open, but at this point, Huskies, they just need to play really pokey. They don't need to get in there and take it if they don't want to and play defensive. They can just attack, break down the defenses, and then leave. They have 4 minutes to maintain this 150-point advantage, and it's going to be easy for them. Exelios, upset about that loss, was holding the perfect round so far. Pops into the 3 kills to get him up to 11, crossing the double digits. New hard point is out, and Boise State was camping it. So they're going to get a couple points off the top, but can the Huskies get in and steal it from them, or can they monopolize this minute to get themselves across the 100?
Keyano is less than 50 away from winning this match outright. Jed gets the pick on the Magic. Avo and Penji, though, coming in. Eliminate Cruz and Brody. Exelios gets Avo traded back with a pick on to Jed. Boise State doing their darndest to keep control of this point. Looks like they will for a few more seconds. They move past 50, but they're being contested as Kurz comes in. Can the rest of the Broncos? No, he plays around all of them and takes back the point for the Huskies.
At this point for Boise State, it's all or nothing, right? The contention on the point is just as bad as the Huskies owning it. So the Huskies just being in there and just being pesky is devastating the round for the Broncos. And if nothing else, it's a mental game. After they get hit back and forth, they can win a firefight or 2. But if they go down to that last player as the trickle comes in, it just doesn't happen. Now, it looks like it's going to be a camp for the next point from the Huskies. They're going to let them take the last couple seconds out. Now Boise State playing together are going to try to...
Oh my goodness,
he's
look
going
at Kurz
crazy.
comes in with the triple. Jed to get a complete team wipe against the Broncos. I mean, with as fast as the response can be against COD, it's pretty hard to pull it off, but that would probably be the equivalent of an ace.
Kurz on a 5 spree. More kills than there are teammates. He's getting people on the 2nd round.
And remember, the longer a spree you go on, the more of a chance that you have of getting some of your best moves online, so things could go from bad to worse. If Kurz continue to get free down, they'll be able to stop him.
Ah, that's very true, but there's a fine line between stopping him and feeding him. You guys got to come together, come correct, and figure out how you're going to deal with this, man. Huskies take it, at least round 1. That's not all of it, but it is an important insight to the mental side. You know, there's a gameplay that the team is going to take.
I mean, we said they were undefeated. Obviously, they're undefeated for a reason. Boise State, I think there was only really 1 point that they were able to hold for the vast majority of the time. It was near the beginning of the match, and that's because they'd already positioned themselves at P2.
Yeah, camping out for the start of P2 does mean giving up the rest of P1, and we saw the Huskies do that for, I think, P4. So it's never a bad call, but you've got to weigh your decisions there because you can't let that become an ego check. When they give you the second half of the point and you come flying in the next one and they shut you down, you can't let your team be paced. You don't want to throw one person in to just keep feeding the Lions. You kind of have to give them a couple seconds and let the whole team come together and get a decent frontal attack.
It's been a long journey for the Broncos.
Yep.
I think the last match that we saw for them, it went all 5 games to the very last match. So Broncos could still stage a comeback. We move into the next stage. Which is going to be Search and Destroy, I
Indeed,
guess.
it will.
I
We
believe,
don't
yes.
know exactly where the stage is going to be, but we know that the style of gameplay is going to be Search and Destroy.
Normally, we've seen high-rise Search and Destroy. That's kind of that's the one stage that the Broncos have played Search and Destroy on the most, I gotta say.
Consistently. Yeah, so I mean, we're looking forward to that one for sure. And Search and Destroy is a game mode that I'm a lot more familiar with. We got the typical tactical shooter coming out, the 4v4 plant and destroy. Each person is worth a quarter of your team, and you need everybody you can.
I mean, yeah, without the respawns, it becomes a lot less of that kind of run and gun game.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, which I think could be something good for Boise State, because right now I think I'm missing the team play that I want to be seeing. Of course, I'm not on the desk. I don't have the mouse in my hand, so there's only so much that I can say. But I think that that's something the Huskies are excelling at, and if we could pick up on that, I think we could turn the tides.
Boise State currently finds themselves down 1. They will go into the second round, Search and Destroy, trying to even it up. If they win this, we will be guaranteed at least a Game 4. But as of right now, we know we are going to see Search and Destroy and then move on to Control. And then anything from up there is up in the air. This could be a 3-0 sweep from Keyano. It could be the start of a long, protracted fight as the Broncos look to pull up a major upset win to be the first team that takes... that is able to get a blotch on Keyano's perfect record. And it would be quite the blotch, eliminating them from the tournament. But the Broncos, getting this far in the tournament, obviously something to be proud of. But you got to face the best if you want to win and be named the best.
It's true. Yeah, I mean, that's just how tournaments work. If they don't get through this one this week, they'll have to do it again next week, and it'll only be, statistically speaking, even harder a challenge. So it's really how far on the plank can they walk before the balance just kind of tips them into the water. They're going to fight through this one, though. They're going to fight their hardest, and the Huskies take a little bit of time to decide on their next map as we dive in to Search and Destroy. We hope it's high rise.
Now remember, unlike Hardpoint, where it's just first to 250 wins it all, we have a multitude of rounds on Search and Destroy. First to 6 is what we play to.
It makes it a little bit of a slow burn, honestly, and there's a lot more econ to be considered. It's not just how many kills do you get in a row to rack up to something. So in a sense, there's a leave it all out on the table mindset when you have this economy of all the different utils that you're going to be dealing with.
Well, they all recharge after each single round, so it isn't like a situation in Valorant, which we cast a bit more often, where you're going to save. If you're the last person, you still got to make an effort to try to take the round outright.
Yeah, which I think is a little bit more of the COD development, is guns blazing. You just want to leave it all on the table every single time, but each round I think should start tentatively and carefully, and you want to have the upper edge and the numbers advantage as soon as you can, and then you can burn the house down when things look scary or when you have the advantage and you'd like to simplify. So there's this stretchy dynamic to it that gives the game a kind of slow burn, because you want to be playing fast and then slow and then fast and slow, and every round has a break after it that gives you a chance to kind of drive the golf cart up to your next hit and think about what you did wrong. Kind of put yourself in the corner for a second, analyze. It's a little bit of breathing. Not at all like the hard point, where as soon as you're out, you wait your 3 seconds and you're thrown back in. You need to catch up with the team. So this is definitely a little bit, it's a mental shift.
I mean, all the players in Call of Duty are just downright speedy. They can really book it toward these points, one or the other. It isn't even the fastest you can run in Valorant is just kind of a casual walk. Well, it's Call of Duty.
It's just dangerous to turn corners in general in Valorant. And I mean, when everyone's neon red, it's different. You can actually lose someone in the crowd here, and I've seen some cheeky angles where it's only a couple of pixels, and it's hard to tell which one is the dirt color of the uniform and which is the dirt color of the ground. So
that's sort of the general idea behind camouflage.
It's true. It should be, but I don't think the Valorant devs heard anything about camouflage, because it is not there. It's not there.
Yeah. KJ's just asking herself, what should I wear for a covert operation? Bright neon yellow.
Yeah, yellow and blue is the mindset. Yeah. No, not the case. COD is a little bit more realistic in that sense. And it does mean that although you can go flying through the map, you have to be careful about what you're looking at as well.
Although not realistic in the sense that, again, I don't think that these, very heavy automatic weapons would just do a little twirly thing in the air should you drop them.
True, yeah. And, in real life, getting 360 no-scopes on things would be a big shoulder workout. That's not the case here.
Yeah, that's true. You got these big, these big kickback guns. They're firing them like they're Daisy air rifles, really.
True. It's
just hold the gun like this, no kickback.
Yeah.
Look at that.
We're hoping for some high rise.
Hoping, yeah, because I said that's my favorite, but there are a lot of different variations, and we could still see kind of a lot of different stages. We were talking about high rise, we were talking about invasion. I was also just looking kind of, if you were talking about verticality, then one of the main stages that was calling out to me was Karachi, just because there were, you were talking a little bit about the rooftops and vantage points. There are so many rooftops you can be playing from in Karachi, especially near mid, especially, you have one vantage point, top second, and then you got a vantage point above that vantage point, top third, if you just want to be on top of everything.
Yeah, you were talking about that earlier, that there's not just verticality, but there's a hierarchy of verticality.
And if my eyes doth not deceive me, we are going on into Rio. We've seen this before a few times.
You see a little side swap here, but the colors are still the same. We got Huskies in blue with Kurz, Jed, Brody, and Excelsios. And it is a big spread immediately. Boise State on the T side first, carrying the bomb. They're going to be taking it over to the site. They get an easy plant. But it looks like Jet D is already on the way to take care of things. We get a little bit of action. Felling Neeb, who was right on top of the point. Can the other associates in orange hold the situation down? We got a little bit of a flank coming around from Magic. Oh! Penji's going to go down to Magic. The flank is the last one alive. They're obviously going to set the situation up and be ready for him. And that is a classic point. We've all seen lots and lots of clips of that not going over ideally.
Huskies getting the first win. Just 5 more to go, and then they will be pushing themselves to match point.
Bam, right there. Yeah, those boxes is a tough spot. It can be really good when someone goes down for the plant and you're there right when they pop up looking over those boxes, but it's a tricky one because it's really expected. It's a semi-flank at best.
And Kurz being the one that's really stepping up for the Huskies, got 3 out of the 4 needed to win that fight. The Huskies will be planning now. Boise State spreading out pretty evenly between A and B as we head on into the mall. Trying to dodge around the hedges. It's a trade 1-for-1. But now Keyano opens up a one-person advantage, have completely cleared out B site. It's up to Penji and Magic to take it all back. A little bit of a divide and conquer. Magic moving up north.
Yeah, it looks pretty slow so far.
Gonna try to take the high ground.
Ooh, Penji comes rolling right in, but after a little bit of the control mash, he's not going to find it. Magic stays alive for one more. A quick reload. Just kind of looking around.
Oh, makes uncomfortable eye contact and manages to win the face-off, but will the other Brody's coming in trying to get him while he has low health. But he will be able to heal back up.
Intense. He can go flying onto the point. It's
even
1v1.
if he were to win this, however, he doesn't have enough time to defuse is the problem.
So he's just looking for a little bit of action right before the game cuts out, and there it is. And dawn of the final
And this was one of the things Doc was saying. You need to win those one-on-ones, and Brody sure had an uphill battle and was able to win 1, but just getting the 2 and just the headshots at the very end lands
those headshots really make the difference. Brody was also kind of juicing the clock for a while as well, really squeezing it to its all the way down to the rind, making sure that there was no chance Magic could defuse if he wanted to. So here we are in the mall.
Coordinated push by Boise State, focusing on a push down toward A. Moving up, they're going to be facing off against Brody. They move in as a cohesive unit, throwing out a smoke grenade, but Brody's the one who picks up first blood and is starting to get the momentum back in the Huskies' favor.
Yeah. That smoke is a tough one because it just cuts down on information, but it's two-way. So if you're being predictable on the wrong side of a smoke, you're not achieving anything with it. You're really just making a better effort for the opponent. I love these slow motion replays.
Well, and it's also the slow motion replays, when you look back at them, it's really showing how dead on Keyano's crosshair placement is. I mean, they are just constantly tracking Boise State's heads and just hitting them consistently, giving the Broncos hardly any time to respond.
Yeah, we've seen some barrel stuffing and some melee-style gunplay, some bayonet AR action. But Keyano is doing exceptionally, just aiming for the head and staying a distance off, staying steady.
Neeb gets first blood. He picks up 2 with a grenade. That's a great start for Boise State. Round to find him in Mall. They'll take a 2-on-1 to trade. Now there's just one left, Exelios, and the bomb is dropped right next to B, so they can just keep watch. Know that he has to come to them. He'll move forward. Boise State should get the sideline on him going up through the bridge. They call it out. They're going in for the pinch play.
And a nice, clean, even, fair 2v1 is just devastating this game. I mean, we only saw that one time a very obvious 3K, and that's if you pace it out correctly. Ooh, here's the pinch play. Played excellently.
I gotta say, that's probably one of the best grenades I have seen to open it up, just immediately having the enemy team. Boise State will definitely take a round like that.
Yeah, taking that first blood means you can kind of play a little bit dirty afterward.
And off we go. Boise State tasked with planting. Moving up towards B this time. They're going to have a showdown seen right under bridge where Exelios has positioned himself. Magic moving right on up to bridge. Might try to peek out. Might be coordinating something with Avo.
Yeah, definitely trying to just change his position as Exelios has got a nice laser right on where Magic used to be sitting. It'd have to be a very quick pop. He
Brody.
acknowledged it.
Brody,
Ooh.
they call him out and are able to stop that flank. A 1-for-1 trade. Both teams down to 3 apiece. Nice, getting rid of Exelios. Boise State now up 3-2, but the gunfire is going to give him away.
And he's
now Boise State just has Neeb left. He has to win a face-off with Kurz. He's the last one I would want to face off with.
Very true, but we haven't even gotten a plant out yet. So Kurz can play nice in backseat and just wait for that plant to come down. Maybe hang out in an atypical area and force Neeb to go for it. Going down for the target plant. Kurz comes racing into the point now.
45 seconds on the clock to decide it all. Kurz moving back.
And
Just around bridge, trying to keep a look over both sides of B Street. He's not coming up through any of the B Street routes. He's just coming up through the mall itself. Going to meet him right on the bridge. Sees him. I don't know. Oh my goodness. Kurz lands the melee. Yeah, I know, yeah.
A 720.
720 DPS on high for a split millisecond.
Yeah, he did. He used up the entire mouse pad for that one. And with nearly 10 seconds to spare.
And it's those kind of moments that you just can't let get to you.
Yep, it's true.
You know, we always talk about, taunting or BM, and we always, kind of call it out from an entertainment standpoint, but it can be just, another strategy to just have against an enemy team.
It's part of the game.
It's one of those things, it's a head game just as much as the game you're seeing here on screen. Half the game is happening in each of the players' minds, and you got to be sure to reset yourself. And sometimes you take advantage if you can put the other player on tilt.
Yeah.
Kurz picking up the first blood, excuse me.
Playing COD is playing checkers, but BMing in COD is playing chess.
Kurz, though, he's playing like he has all queens on his board. He is just going every which way, picking off the Broncos like flies. One player left. Nice pick against Jed. That gunfight gives him out. Tries to pick off Zelios, but that'll be it. Huskies win another and will go up to a round to close it all out.
The trades are just so fast. When you are down to half HP, you have almost no chance.
And hey, you did say they're neighbors from up north. They're showing that there too, just with their loadout. So, just everyone knowing Greg wasn't lying. He knows what he's talking about.
That's true.
One last chance for the Broncos. They'll be given the bomb. One time they have won this was when they had an amazing nade to start things off. Took 2 out with just 1. Already, Huskies have moved clear on up on B side. Peek around the corner, might make eye contact with Jed. Spots him. Draws him out, but now they both should know where they are. They're trying to get an angle on each other.
He waits too long. He just didn't click. He wanted to get a cleaner shot, but sometimes you can't get anything better.
Sometimes, you just can't say. You need You need to accept good enough.
Yep. It's still just 1-for-1, a little bit of eye contact, but it looks like they might be shuffling on over to A site. At least Brody is considering that as an option.
Certainly not out of the realm of possibility, though. Still 3-3, especially as Magic gets the pick onto Jed. That clears B right out. Oh. Boise State now moving in for the plant. Has to go up against Brody and Exelios.
He's low on health, though. He's going to go in for the plant. And we should expect the other two Husky players to come flying in. It looks like they're going to be a little bit more coordinated and send Brody around for a flank while Excelsios comes straight in. Whoa. And he's going to take it on brute force alone, leaving a pinch play for the last man, and there's just no way out of that.
And he called out the wrong hallway as well. That's going to be the defuse for the Huskies and the round one. Now Keyano moves on up to match point with only a control round left between them and victory. Broncos could be facing the end of their season. They'll have to pull off a reverse sweep from here on out if they want to stay alive. Now we move on to control.
We can see a decently strong control play, and it's nice to see that it's not an absolute smash. Even if this ends up as a 3-0, you see that we have a couple kills coming in from all the different Boise State players that are rivaling some of the lower players from the Huskies team. And Boise State is still taking points here and there. They got a little bit of hard point 2 and a little bit of hard point 4, and they took one of the rounds, and they did get a lot of kills off and even stayed even, like 2-2s and 3-3s down the last couple seconds in a lot of the S&D situations. So if they can find a way to get out of control, they'll get a second chance on both of those other two game modes.
But there's also just a little, there is a bit where you just can't sugarcoat it, that Keyano is a team that is performing at their best. I'm seeing the way that they're playing. There's confidence. There's no hesitation. And Boise State, they are winning some one-on-ones, but I'd say the ratio is probably 70-30 in favor of the Huskies. So sometimes, we can make all the reasoning that we want about, this might happen, or it might all go 5 games. And I sure hope as a Boise State fan that it goes all 5 games. But sometimes you got to also give the other team their dues and say these are the top dogs for a reason.
It's true. And their communicative play is incredible. We're seeing a lot of them execute some impressive pinch plays, or if they're not quite comfortable, they just keep lasering it out, hold their angle, and wait for some support to come in from the other side. We saw a lot of devastating flanks come out, and if Boise State can't get the one-on-ones, and sometimes it's just not your day, and the 1v1s are just not there. You haven't ran the Kovacs as much as they have, but trades are available. If you lose your 1v1s, someone else needs to come in and take an unfair 1v1 after that. And you can keep just kind of boiling things down with trades.
Boise State now moves on to control, unique in the fact that it can be won in 2 different ways. Either the attacking team claims both points, kind of a little bit like the old Overwatch Assault mode, a little bit, or you could just take it purely off of eliminations. And that's kind of a crucial resource. Boise State has in the past won a lot of control rounds just off the eliminations. There isn't enough time left for them to take both the points, but they are able to get rid of them. And we got the word that invasion is going to be brought out, and this is probably one that we've seen with control the most. We were talking about it. You've got basically bathrooms is where we see we've got B site and then bathrooms there on A site too. So 2 different sections of the stage. But I'm wondering how Keyano also, with how good they have been at these long range engagements, I'm wondering how soon or how much they're going to favor Loft to get that view over Open and B Street.
Yeah, it's tricky because if they hang too far off the point, then they could lose time on the points. But if they play too in person, they could lose a lot of men. And if your count starts going down, I like how you said the word resource earlier. These win cons have become resources. I mean, HP is a resource, and if you can just throw people at one of the points to secure a point, it's worth it to you. But if you can also play a little bit more reserved, let them take the point, and you know where they are, you can kind of come storming in and start whittling away at their count numbers left, their stock. With 2 different ways to win the round, you really are juggling resources.
Boise State going to an old favorite to try to turn things around. The first step in what will be a long reverse sweep. But the Broncos have gone to 5 games before. We just got to acknowledge that it's very difficult against a team like Keyano. But we'll just have to go to the gameplay to get the final word, because we can speculate all we want here on Desk, give all the reasons for and against. But in the end, there's only one score that matters, and that's where we're about to find it out in just a few minutes. I do very like, though, that Boise State, that we have managed to get a club team together to be able to showcase Call of Duty and start participating in those tournaments. Because we have a lot of students ask, hey, I play this particular game. How can I get it on broadcast? And the way is, you go the route that these students here have. You form a team yourself. You find tournaments to compete in. And then, we go, yes, we'll support you as the Broncos. You can compete in our broadcast. But you've got to, if it's a non-varsity game, you got to work with your students on campus and your friends and social group to be able to form a team on your own.
Yeah, and I mean, it's impressive, and it seems like it's just 4 people that just get together and just make it happen, but it's a little bit more work than that, and it's good to lead the charge and start something like that, so maybe we can have a long, rich history in store for us in the future of collegiate COD here at Boise State.
A lot of the club teams that I'm thinking back about Boise State's history have been shooter games that have just kind of invaded the limelight. We normally have Overwatch and Valorant, but COD we've been broadcasting through a club team. Back in the day, we had an R6 team that we broadcasted a lot of their matches, and then even for a few years, we had a Halo team that was kind of formed by a ragtag group of students as well. So, I mean, even if you don't see a game, if you play a game that is seen here that isn't seen in our varsity lists, I would really like a Splatoon team, just saying, then meet with some students and see what you can do, see what you can form.
Yeah. Well, Overcooked 2, I think, could be a really fun one.
You're calling it out. You're calling out your favorite. All right, here we go. And already Exilios gets first blood on Boise State. Going to start that resource timer ticking on down. Boise State is going to lose even more as Keyano opens up their advantage. And it looks like Bathrooms is just being held very tightly down.
Yeah,
this has
real
been
stockpile.
Yeah, and you can also get a lot of util being thrown on in there. In fact, it's already claimed by the Huskies.
A scary situation. They only have to claim 1 more point, and it looks like they're going to start making the dodge all the way over. Boise State sitting right on top of point B, and they're not throwing a lot of people towards the first point. If they can convert point A or steal point B before it gets to it, they could dodge themselves.
And now we move back on over toward B. Keyano has that in their sights. A bit of a melee onto Neeb as well. There's only been 1 elimination that Boise State has been able to claim, and all those trophy systems that they placed down as well. It is just making this into a very tough point to shake. Boise State trying to round the corner, pick someone up in loft, but there are so many different angles that Keyano is holding that Boise State just really can't decide which they want to take. And I would think that just in a few seconds we're going to get the confirmation that Keyano has taken point B, or has at least made progress at point B.
It could certainly be so. I mean, they were right on top of it. It looks like a lot of the Boise State players are still outside, just struggling to look at these angles that were just, they feel embarrassing. They feel like you've been caught doing something wrong when you see 2 people staring down the barrel at you. But on the other hand, we're seeing some good position play from a bit of the blue team as a couple Broncos trying to make their way out.
And
the
switching sides, yeah. That means Keyano at this point just took both of the points like it was nobody's business. It's now Boise State's turn. They start out on the castle side of the stage. Question is, which way do they take? Do they try to go up B Street, or they go down to the river? And they are going to go down to the river, try to take Bathrooms first and foremost. Who's going to get first blood is the question. Well, it's Keyano. Neeb gets taken out. Now Boise State has a really tough task if they want to try to get this point.
Yeah, but the Broncos were sitting right on top of the point. They definitely won the race there, so they just have to kind of defend the territory here a little bit. We see a couple of the Huskies are making their way out.
It's a double back and forth
trades. Do indeed.
Boise State trying to test their luck, moving up B Street.
We see a lot more team play, though. They're definitely streamlining this situation as they make their way all the way up to B point, while the Bathrooms are kind of left to be stolen from by the Huskies.
Keyano working on a pinch play, going to be working up through grass to try to take Boise State. And actually, they're moving up into Castle, actually, and you can get some great vantage points from up there on the 2nd floor, looking down toward B Street. Already gets a fire and picks up a double. I was telling you, Exilios pulls through in spectacular fashion. Boise State manages to get 1 tick on B, but this Castle placement by the Huskies, just this 1 player, Exilios, paying dividends. Now Boise State trying to surround him. They'll flush him out from Castle. problem is that they're far away from any of the actual points, and as long as someone isn't on one of the points, the timer will tick down. One picked off against Boise State, now two. Kerr's going on a rampage, and Fountain picks up a double. Now Boise State with little lives, little time, very little of anything to use.
And with 12 players ahead, yeah, little time and little lives is exactly the way to say it. 15 seconds left on the clock to make a big difference here, though. It'll be hard to find. They come flying in, even Magic, try to get Brody, and they're going to go down to both of them.
It's a massacre around
Indeed.
B-Tank. And that's going to do it, I do believe. Boise State is just pinned into Castle. Huskies had both of the row. They had both River and B Street just nailed down. Huskies win that, and so we will move on to the third and final round. Huskies just need to claim these 2 points, and then they will have the entire match in a clean sweep.
Indeed, they will.
That was really interesting. They kind of, not only did they get the double up from, the castle, but then that castle sort of became a prison for the Broncos, really.
Yeah.
It became their respawn, and Huskies just blocked off both possible routes to A and B and just let them stay in there for the remainder of the match. I mean, north of 40 seconds, the Broncos had nowhere to move.
I mean, when you see Boise State take a tick on the B site, you want to move the gameplay, move the win con over to where you're stronger. So they went right up in the face of Boise State and just took stock after stock and fragged them all the way down until the gap was irrecoverable, and then they just got to hang out outside and wait for that timer to tick down, and it definitely worked out for them. We see a couple Boise State players falling as bathrooms has already been taken so far, it would appear, by the Huskies.
They've already got a good bit of util. I mean, look at those trophy systems placed down. Whether Boise State is going through River or open, there's just no chance for them to throw those nades in to try to feel out the site. And now Keyano can have the luxury of lying prone. Fire exchange from the bathrooms as 2 Broncos go moving in. 2 are taken out. This one remain player, I don't know if he can make a difference. No, he can't, and Keyano claims it.
Yeah, 2 lost in the open.
Time.
They send the other 3 at the open together, and that's, like you said, record time. I mean, they just locked down bathrooms, and Boise State tried to take it by brute force, and that plan, dare I say, backfired.
Just one final chance. They had to move in, and that really kind of also just puts new light on that lone remaining player from Boise State. It's one of those tough situations where you're outnumbered, but you have to move in or else the game's over. True
enough. Yeah, he used to be a young adventurer like us, and then he took several mags to the knee.
Yep, that's just sometimes how it works out, but we knew this team was undefeated. We knew Keyano was going to be a tough opponent, and it's a well-earned victory by them. We'll see how they do as they move on in the season. But for now, we are sunsetting this particular season of Call of Duty for our club team. But, I'm really excited to see if there is a future here for Boise State. Seeing these club teams come forward and seeing us support them, I really do want to see more COD in the future.
And seeing spontaneous support of open teams like that, it makes Overcooked 2 and it makes Splatoon sound less ridiculous, right? That we can just to source those teams from nearly nowhere. I mean, you have the entire Boise State group to pick from to find enough people to make something interesting, and when you have the infrastructure for it, you gotta promote it. So it's good to see these teams kind of flowering out, and I would love to see a long future coming out from the ashes of some of our other games which didn't survive so long. But
there are more than 26,000 students attending Boise State University. Surely you can find 4. Surely you can find 4 for that COD team, or 4 for that Splatoon team, or 4 for whatever game you want to play. Just know, 26,000. Get on out there. Make some connections, because we'd love to showcase you, just like we have this team. But for now, that is going to do it for this match. Congrats to Keyano for the win. We'll leave you with some of the top highlights of the game, brought to you by the Idaho Army National Guard, who invites you to bring your impressive critical thinking skills into real time. They have a multitude of jobs offering a $20,000 bonus and your degree of choice paid for. You can live here, work here, and serve here with the Idaho Army National Guard. Reach on out to them on iGuard Idaho on Instagram for more information. But for now, that'll do it for us tonight. We hope you have a good one. See you later.
But at the control mash, he's not going to find it. Magic stays alive for one more. A quick reload. Just kind of looking around.
Oh, makes uncomfortable eye contact. Actual points, and as long as someone isn't on one of the points, the timer will tick down. One picked off against Boise State, now two. Kerr's going on a rampage in Fountain.